Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but we're going to do our disclaimers, our trigger warnings first, alright? If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, the pertinent links are going to be right there in the description box. We have Autistic Koya's massive archive on the subject, where we get literally 99.9% of our receipts in regards to the JRC. We got the article written by Neuroclastic, where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. It is the one that got so deep under the JRC's skin, they threatened them with a defamation lawsuit if Neuroclastic didn't remove it from the website. Of course they didn't. We are a broke but stubborn bunch. So, if this big school with all of this power, which God knows why or even how, are that absolutely terrified of an article written by a small non-for-profit that is putting the article on their own website. There's something juicy in it. Please go read it. We've got their GoFundMe also in there linked, because unlike the JRC, we do not have unlimited power, unlimited money, or unlimited resources. Our trigger warnings go thusly. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you do got young children present, please utilize the headphones. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity as well as speak on dark subjects, so if they're 16 and younger, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. Now on to our next sentence. Despite these positive and non-intrusive interventions, however, RM emitted 1,081 self-injurious behaviors and 962 aggressive behaviors on his first 177 days of enrollment in 2003 and required frequent mechanical restraint. If you go over that last video we just posted, we went over in detail how each of these methods are not, absolutely not in any way, shape, or form anything that could ever be considered as a part of one of the positive behavioral support interventions or programs that fall under the positive behavioral support umbrella. Not a single one of them. Not one. We've also explained why saying such things as non-intrusive ABA interventions is the biggest oxymoron on planet Earth. Everything that they listed is 100% nothing but intrusive. To give you the real definition of what the JRC is really saying when they say positive and non-intrusive, is what they mean is these are consequences that are not visiting violence upon the person that is autistic that they're being used on. Okay? Which, as a person who's been in this field for this damn long, I can tell you that is not what anyone inside the field whatsoever would call positive interventions. Not a single one of them. Okay? Yeah. Now, also, when we went over the things that they listed here, and then they list all the behaviors within that first 177 days. Well, those are high numbers, Tiffany. Aren't you shocked? Fuck no. Are you kidding me? I'd be violent too. I've always been on the small side, ever since I was a kid. And for the majority of my life, until the first year inside my assisted living apartment, I was on ever increasing dosages of Ritalin and then Adderall. Okay? If you would have had an intervention with me with a food belt, where little bites of things were placed on almost a little like conveyor belt thing that you made me wear all day, where I had to constantly throw away food when my math just wasn't perfected that day. Has anybody ever talked to you all about the hanger? In particular to myself, the hanger is very real. And because of my size issues that are now permanent, because I have been put on such high dosages of methamphetamines for so long, if all of a sudden, even if I was willing to eat their liver powdered protein mash, my behaviors would increasingly get more aggressive and more erratic and more dangerous. Okay? For reasons that I don't even necessarily understand or comprehend. I have to have a lot of meat in my diet. Okay? I have to. If I don't, it very massively affects my mood. It massively affects my stress levels. It makes it sometimes I like shaking to the point I can't function. Okay? So, if they would say, well, you got to get up and throw away your food and eat this mash, why are you having more aggressive behaviors? Why are you threatening staff? Yeah. Yeah. Any of the other intrusive psychological mindfuckeries that one would attempt on me through means of ABA. Again, me stating that the so-called non-intrusive ABA interventions is an oxymoron. That is, in fact, extremely intrusive. And I've already explained why it is, okay? You see, ABA has this thing that drives that self-hate and self-loathing home. Considering, due to the abuse, the PTSD, the anxiety disorder, that Ari already had an extreme solid foundation of self-loathing. And then I'm getting set off to be mind fucked by ABA methods before being tortured. If you think the things I've talked to you all about regards to my more self-injurious behaviors wouldn't be multiplied, I've got beachfront property in Kansas with the most perfect ocean view that you've ever seen, that always has perfect 95-degree weather with no humidity, that I can sell to you for a penny. Come one, come all. Okay? For real. For real. Oh, but Tiffany, the behavioral contracts that we signed, we've gone over Jennifer Masumbas. I gave you a brief view of that. How humiliating and dehumanizing it is. If you think that is not going to affect my aggressive side, and that I wasn't going to react to that, you're smoking crack laced with PCP and LSD again. You should probably do that. It's probably going to kill you at some point. Okay? Yeah. Your so-called positive interventions was deliberately provoking those behaviors, JRC. You don't say it here, but you've said it in your other materials. You call it your behavioral interventions. You remember that, right? You actually wrote quite a few things about it, where you actually go out of your way, especially in the beginning, to specifically trigger those behaviors so that you can consequent us in order so that we would know that they were wrong. And also, when you're doing those things, if we refuse to be triggered, well, that's disobedience. You're going to be consequented for that. If we do get triggered and have a reaction, well, that's against the rules. You're going to have to be consequented for that. If you don't see that for the very manipulative and psychotic mindfuckery that it is, they really don't have any place in regards to this channel. You should probably go watch cat videos. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Cat videos is what made the internet famous. I watch them often myself. One of these days, I'm going to motivate Mr. Meow over there and we're going to have some cat videos. You know what I'm saying? Every single thing they list here would 100% trigger me into self-injurious behavior and aggressive behavior. Once more, we know for the fact that the JRC knows that and have written about it, even excused it, and saying, yes, we are knowingly, deliberately triggering those behaviors so that you can be punished for it, whether you give them what they want or not. If it sounds psychotic, it's because it's psychotic. How there's a massive shock considering the quote-unquote ABA interventions we're talking about. How anyone at all could be shocked that aggressive behavior and self-injurious behavior would increase when that is your so-called form of intervention. I'm sorry, but I call bullshit. I call major bullshit. In fact, you are using ABA to deliberately trigger those behaviors so that you can write them down in your little notebooks and use it as justification when, once again, you roll us in front of one of your bought and paid for Massachusetts state judges, making sure we look like literally Hannibal Lecter, under straps in the mall, on PCP and crack. Okay? That is the real purpose as to why the JRC, in actuality, use those methods. They know these methods will deliberately trigger the behaviors that they want us to have so that they can justify their barbarity, their cruelty, their sadism, and their absolutely sociopathic like behavior towards us. You can't be shocked when those types of behaviors multiply when you're doing everything within your power to make sure that they do so. Even someone without experience in this field, once explained what those so-called interventions actually are, would be able to see that. We're going to go ahead and close out on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do. Hope you have a good one. I'll see you all here in a minute. Bye-bye, everyone.